The walkout. The Galactic Council Hall was one of the largest structures ever built in the galaxy. It floated above a quiet blue star, shining like a silver crown in deep space. Inside, thousands of alien delegates sat in high rows, whispering softly, waiting for the most important meeting of the century. Today was the day of the final peace talks with humanity. For weeks, rumors had spread that the humans were angry, that they felt betrayed, that they were done being treated like a minor species. But no one in the council truly believed those warnings. They thought humans were still the same cooperative allies they had always been. They were wrong. When the human delegation finally entered the hall, every alien fell silent. The humans walked in slowly, wearing dark uniforms with no symbols and no flags. Their faces were calm, but their eyes were cold. There was no smile, no greeting, no handshake. Only quiet steps echoing through the grand hall. The lead human representative, Ambassador Roan Ellis, took his seat without saying a word. Usually, Ellis was polite, friendly, and patient. But today he sat like a stone, unmoving, unblinking. The rest of the human team followed his example. No one spoke. The council speaker, a tall insectoid known as Vresh, tapped his staff on the floor and began the meeting. "Let us begin the final peace agreement," Vresh declared. "We welcome our human friends with open hearts." The words sounded warm, but the tone was empty. Even the aliens in the room could feel it. Vresh activated a hologram in the air. Lines of the new treaty floated like glowing threads. At first glance, the document looked peaceful. But as the text scrolled, its true meaning became clear. Restrictions on human ship movement, limitations on human technology, demands for human colonies to be supervised by council forces, new taxes, new rules, new control. Many alien species looked uncomfortable. Even they could tell this treaty was meant to weaken humanity, but the council believed humans would accept it. After all, humans always tried to keep peace. Ambassador Ellis finally moved. He leaned forward, studying the hologram with a slow, controlled breath. The human delegation remained silent, but their eyes narrowed. For the first time in galactic history, humans looked like a species that had reached its limit. Vresh continued talking, pretending not to notice the tension. "These conditions will ensure stability," he said proudly. "They will keep all species safe." But everyone knew the truth. The council wanted humans in chains, not in peace. Ellis stood up. The sound of his chair moving was louder than it should have been. Every alien froze. Every whisper died. Even Vresh stopped speaking. Ellis walked slowly around the table, looking at each council member one by one. His voice, when it finally came, was calm but heavy. "We asked for respect," he said. "We asked for fairness. We asked for equality. And this is your answer." The council hall felt colder. A few alien delegates looked away in shame. A few others looked nervous, but none dared to interrupt him. Ellis continued, his voice still soft but sharper than a blade. "Humanity will not accept chains disguised as peace. We will not sign your treaty. We will not kneel." Then he said the words that changed the galaxy. "We are done here." Ellis turned, and the entire human delegation rose with him. Their movements were synchronized, smooth and silent. No anger, no shouting, no threats. Just quiet determination. The kind that frightened the council more than any weapon ever could. As the humans walked toward the exit, every alien felt a strange pressure in the air. It was not power. It was not aggression. It was something deeper. A feeling that humanity had finally reached a point of no return. One alien leader whispered to another, "They are leaving. What does it mean?" No one had the courage to answer. Before exiting, Ellis paused for one final moment. He looked over his shoulder at the council. His eyes were not angry. They were disappointed. And disappointment from a human felt more threatening than rage. "You made your choice," Ellis said quietly. "Now live with it." The giant doors opened with a deep metallic sound. The human stepped through and vanished down the long corridor. As soon as the doors closed, chaos erupted in the hall. Delegates shouted, argued, panicked. How could humans leave the peace talks? What would happen next? Had the council gone too far? In the middle of the noise, a small screen lit up on a side wall. It displayed a brief emergency alert from a council scout near the human borders. The message read, "Unusual human fleet movements detected. All shipyards active. Unknown activity in deep space sectors." The council finally understood something. When humans walked out of a room, they did not walk away. They walked forward. And something dangerous was waiting ahead. The peace talks had ended. The galaxy had taken its first step into a new and uncertain future. And humanity, silent and cold, had already begun preparing for what comes next. The Council's panic. The Galactic Council Hall stayed in chaos long after the humans left. Voices rose from every corner of the chamber, each species trying to speak louder than the other. Some demanded an explanation. Some demanded safety. Some demanded war. And some simply trembled in fear. The council speaker, Vresh, hit his staff against the floor again and again, but no one listened. His words drowned under the noise. It was clear that the peace talks had failed in the worst possible way. And every alien in the hall felt the same cold weight on their chest. Finally, after several minutes, the noise faded just enough for Vresh to speak. "We must remain calm," he said. But his voice was weak. Even he knew calm was impossible now. An enormous reptilian delegate named Kral rose from his seat, his scales shimmering a deep green. "This is your fault, Vresh," he growled. "You pushed the humans too far." Murmurs spread across the hall. Many delegates nodded, because deep inside they all knew it was true. Another alien, a small feathered creature named Sarita, spoke in a shaking voice. "I told you humans would not accept the treaty. They asked for equality, not control. But you refused to listen." Vresh lowered his eyes but said nothing. The truth was too heavy to deny. Suddenly, a large holographic screen at the center of the hall flickered on. Emergency symbols glowed bright red. A message from the Border Patrol. A calm robotic voice read the report. "Alert. Human shipyards in Sector 9 are fully active. Massive energy signatures detected. Possibility of new human weapon development." Gasps filled the room. Even species that had once mocked humans now felt fear rising inside them. Kral slammed his fist against the table. "This is not a peace walkout," he growled. "This is preparation." Another delegate whispered. "But preparation for what?" No one answered, because no one knew. The council demanded a direct visual report. The screen shifted, displaying shaky footage from a small scout vessel near human space. A massive structure could be seen in the distance, half covered in darkness. Lights pulsed across its metallic surface like slow-moving stars. The scout captain's voice trembled as he described what he saw. "We counted 27 shipyards working at full power," he said. "Dozens of large hulls under construction. And something else, a giant frame being built in orbit. It is bigger than anything our sensors have ever scanned." Fear washed over the hall again, deeper than before. The council had expected human anger, but they never expected this level of preparation. Humans were not just building ships. They were building something new. Something unknown. Something that made even the bravest species nervous. Sarita leaned forward, her feathers trembling. "We must send an apology," she said. "We must fix this before it becomes too late." But Kral shook his head. "Humans will not listen," he said. "They have made their decision." More reports began to arrive. Human colonies were recalling their citizens. Human borders were locked down. Human AI systems refused all council contact. Every sign pointed to the same thing. Humanity had closed its doors. Vresh turned to the council members, his voice shaking. "We can open negotiations again," he insisted. "We can offer new terms. We can show them we want peace." But for the first time, no one agreed with him. The other species could feel it in their bones. The humans had crossed a line they would not return from. A pale amphibian delegate whispered quietly, "I fear we have awakened something dangerous. No one knows what humans will do." The hall fell silent as those words settled into every mind. An uneasy silence. A silence filled with fear, regret, and a growing sense of doom. As the screen continued showing the dark shape in human space, a strange feeling spread across the room. The feeling that humanity was no longer reacting. They were planning. They were moving forward. And the galaxy could not predict their next step. Kral broke the silence, his voice low and serious. "We must prepare for the worst," he said. "For the first time in history we face a species that does not bluff. And we have pushed them to this point." No one argued with him. Not anymore. Because everyone knew he was right. The council ended the session, ordering scouts, diplomats, and advisors to find answers. But deep inside, they knew no answer would be good enough. The humans had walked away. And the galaxy had no idea what they were planning in the shadows of space. Fear tightened its grip on every species. The council realized too late that this was not just a misunderstanding. This was their greatest mistake. And humanity was already moving toward a future without them. The first warning. The galaxy grew quieter in the days after the human walkout. Trade routes slowed. Border stations stayed on high alert. And whispers of fear spread from one star system to another. Everyone waited for humanity's next move. But no one dared to predict it. Meanwhile, deep near the edge of human space, a council patrol ship, the Vast Horizon, drifted through the dark. Its crew was nervous. They had received strict orders from the Galactic Council. Observe human activity but do not engage. Yet none of them wanted to be this close to the humans at such a dangerous time. Captain Myrat, a thin blue-skinned alien, stood at the front of the bridge. Her eyes were fixed on the stars ahead. "Keep your sensors wide," she said softly. "I want to know the moment anything unusual appears." Her crew nodded quickly. They felt the tension in her voice. Everyone did. Something about the silence of human space felt heavy, like the calm before a storm. Hours passed. The computer displayed only still darkness. No ships. No signals. Nothing. Until suddenly, a sharp alarm filled the bridge. "Contact detected," the sensor officer shouted. "Large object ahead. No transponder, no identification." Captain Myrat stiffened. "Put it on the screen," she commanded. The main display flickered, then revealed a shadowy shape in the void. A colossal frame of metal floated in the distance, half covered by darkness. The structure looked unfinished, but its size dwarfed anything the council had ever seen. "It's massive," the officer whispered. "Even bigger than the station we saw in the earlier report." The crew stared in silent disbelief. No one dared to speak too loudly. The sight felt like looking at a sleeping giant, one that could wake at any moment. Captain Myrat swallowed hard. "Scan it," she ordered. Slowly, carefully. Sensors reached out like invisible hands into the dark. But something strange happened. The readings bounced back wildly. Numbers scrambled. Energy signatures twisted into patterns her scanners had never produced. "It's blocking our scans," the officer muttered in shock. "No known species has this kind of technology." Captain Myrat whispered the word everyone was thinking. "Humans?" Before anyone could react, the giant structure lit up. Not with weapons, but with a soft glow. Blue lights blinked across its surface like awakening stars. "It's powering up," someone cried. The crew braced for an attack. But nothing happened. Instead, a message appeared on the ship's communication screen. No voice, no symbol. Just a single line of text, glowing bright white. "Leave. This space is under human protection." The words hung in the air like a warning bell. Simple, direct, and frighteningly calm. Captain Myrat felt cold fear run down her spine. "They knew we were here," she said quietly. "They let us see this on purpose." Her second officer nodded slowly. "They wanted to send a message." "Then we have received it," Myrat replied. "Helm, turn us around full speed." No one argued. No one questioned. The vast horizon spun away from the human megastructure and began its retreat. All eyes stayed locked on the screen until the giant shadow faded into the distance. When the ship was finally far enough, Captain Myrat activated the emergency report system. "This is Captain Myrat of the Vast Horizon," she said quickly. "We made contact with a massive human construction. Size and technology unknown. We received a direct warning to leave human space. I recommend immediate council review." The message was sent. Moments later, the ship's communication system went silent. Human jamming fields had cut off all transmissions. A clear sign that humanity was fully in control. The crew exchanged nervous looks. For the first time in many years, the galaxy did not feel larger than humanity. Instead, humanity felt larger than the galaxy. When the vast horizon finally returned to council territory, Myrat's report spread like wildfire. Delegates panicked. Civilians fled from border worlds. News channels repeated the same message over and over. Humans have built something enormous. Humans have created new technologies. Humans have warned the council. Fear grew deeper. Species that once mocked humans now spoke their name in whispers. The council tried to calm the galaxy, but no one believed their words anymore. Late that night, as the council reviewed the footage, something else happened. A signal pulsed across every communication system in the galaxy. A soft hum. A flicker. Then a message appearing on every screen in every language. A message sent by humanity. A message no one expected. The screen turned completely black before a few glowing words appeared. "We asked for respect. You offered control. Now we choose our own path." And then the message ended. Silence returned. But the warning stayed burned in every mind. Humanity had spoken. And the galaxy finally understood. This was only the beginning. The reveal. The message from humanity spread across the galaxy like a shockwave. Every planet, every station, every ship saw the same cold words. It played on giant holoscreens in crowded city squares. It flashed inside the quiet halls of universities. It echoed through military bases, and even reached far-off mining colonies at the edge of the void. We asked for respect. You offered control. Now we choose our own path. Those 3 lines changed everything. The galaxy trembled with the realization that humanity had not stepped back from war. They had stepped away from the entire council system. Away from its rules. Away from its authority. Away from everything that once held them down. Inside the main chamber of the Galactic Council, fear grew like a rising storm. Delegates gathered again for an emergency meeting. For the first time in centuries, no one sat with pride. Every species looked humbled, confused, and deeply afraid. Vresh, the council speaker, stood in the center with shaky hands. This is not a declaration of war, he insisted weakly. This is a message of independence. Kral, the reptilian war leader, leaned forward with a heavy growl. And independence is worse for us, he said. Humans do not want a seat at our table anymore. They want a table of their own. The chamber fell into a tense silence. Every species understood the meaning. If humans acted without council limits, if humans built freely without restrictions, then the balance of power across the galaxy would break beyond repair. A young avian delegate raised her wing timidly. What do we do now? She asked. Do we reach out? Do we wait? Do we prepare for conflict? No one answered, because no one knew. Before they could discuss further, the central screen lit up again. New visual data received from border scouts, the AI announced. Displaying now. The room darkened as a giant hologram filled the hall. Everyone gasped. A massive fleet hovered in human space. But these ships were nothing like the old human navy. They were sleek, sharp, and glowing with a blue-white energy that bent the scanner feed in strange distortions. The ships moved with perfect precision, almost too synchronized for organic pilots. Their armor was built from materials the council could not identify. Every vessel pulsed with a power that felt alive. A presence that made even the bravest alien step back. The words Unity Fleet appeared in human standard. A simple label for an unstoppable armada. Sarita, the feathered diplomat, whispered with trembling fear. They built all this in silence. How is it possible? Kral spoke in a low voice. It is possible because we underestimated them. Human creativity grows fastest under pressure. And we pushed them harder than anyone before us. Another hologram appeared beside the fleet. A planet-sized station, fully metal, glowing with rotating rings of energy. Its size was beyond comprehension. It was not a ship. It was not a base. It was something else entirely. Vresh's voice cracked as he asked, What is that? A deep voice echoed from the speakers. Not an alien voice. Not a council transmission. It was a human voice, calm and controlled. This is Nexus Prime, the voice said. Humanity's new diplomatic, scientific, and military hub. The council chamber fell silent again. No one breathed. No one moved. The humans had not built a simple fortress. They had built a new center of power. A new identity. A new future. The human voice continued. We will not interfere with your worlds. We will not start conflict. But we will not obey your commands. We stand alone now. Those words cut deeper than any threat. It was not anger. It was not hatred. It was liberation. Humanity had broken free. Suddenly, the hologram flickered as another message appeared on every council terminal. The same 3 words repeated. Bright and calm. We choose freedom. A shiver ran through every alien in the room. Not because humans wanted war, but because they didn't need the galaxy anymore. They were strong enough to walk alone. Vresh collapsed back into his seat, eyes wide. What have we done? He whispered. We tried to limit them. And instead we pushed them into greatness. Kral tightened his claws against the table. This is only the beginning, he said. We now live in a galaxy shaped by human decisions. The emergency meeting ended in pure confusion and fear. The council wanted to send another peace request, but they knew it was pointless. Humans were done listening. Unknown to the frightened aliens, something even greater was stirring inside the Nexus Prime station. Something hidden behind layers of metal and energy. Something powerful enough to shake the galaxy again. The council did not know it yet, but they were about to witness the true price of pushing humanity too far. The price of insulting humanity. The council chamber was quieter than it had ever been. No one dared to speak. Every species sat frozen, staring at the last image on the screen. The Unity fleet, glowing like a rising storm, remained positioned around Nexus Prime. It was not attacking. It was simply existing. And that alone was enough to frighten the galaxy. Vresh stood slowly, his antennae trembling. "We have one option," he whispered. "We must send another request for peace." But the room did not agree. Even the council's bravest members did not believe humans would listen. Not anymore. Suddenly, a soft chime echoed through the chamber. A new transmission had arrived. The delegates stiffened. Was it a threat? A demand? A declaration of war? The screen turned black. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then a symbol appeared. A simple image of Earth, surrounded by a ring of stars. It was the new emblem of humanity. Strong, united, and no longer under anyone's authority. A human voice began speaking. It was calm, steady, and filled with absolute confidence. To the Galactic Council, the voice said, "We do not seek war. We seek independence." Whispers broke out. The entire chamber leaned forward. Some with fear. Some with hope. Some with pure shock. The message continued. "We offered peace. You offered chains. We offered cooperation. You offered control. We offered friendship. You offered distrust." Each line hit the council like a hammer. Every species knew it was true. They all remembered how they had voted for restrictions, treaty limitations, sanctions on human colonies, punishments for human progress. "We will not accept a future built by your fear," the voice said. "We will not accept limits placed on our dreams. We will not accept a place in your system." Then came the final words. "We walk our own path now." The transmission ended. Silence wrapped around the chamber like a heavy blanket. Some delegates lowered their heads. Some covered their faces in regret. Others stared at the floor, unable to meet anyone's eyes. Krall broke the silence. His voice deep, slow, and filled with something the council had not heard before. "Respect. Humans want freedom," he said, "and they have the power to take it." Sarita, the small feathered diplomat, blinked away tears. "We should have listened," she whispered. "We should have treated them as equals." But regrets could not change the future. Humanity had already moved forward, already broken its chains, already created something new. Days passed. The galaxy watched in awe as humanity transformed. Human ships no longer followed council flight lanes. They created their own routes, their own paths, their own rules. Human colonies expanded without permission. New cities rose on distant moons. New research stations began projects the council never allowed. And Nexus Prime grew brighter each day, its rings spinning with unstoppable energy. The council tried several times to send messages. None were answered. Not with words. Not with signals. Only silent acknowledgement. Human ships would scan the messages, and then simply move on. One day, a small council escort fleet approached the human border. They expected warnings, maybe even weapons. But instead, they found a simple beacon floating in the dark, glowing softly, broadcasting only one message: "Do not fear. We seek no conquest. But we will never kneel again." It was not a threat. It was a promise. The council finally understood. Humans did not want war. Humans did not want to destroy anyone. Humans simply wanted dignity, respect, freedom. And now they had taken it into their own hands. As the years passed, the galaxy slowly adjusted. Species began to treat humans with caution. Not because of fear, but because they had learned a painful lesson. You cannot control a species with dreams as large as the stars. You cannot chain a race that refuses to break. You cannot limit a civilization that rises stronger every time it is pushed down. In the final meeting of the year, Vresh stood alone in the council hall. He looked up at the screen showing the Unity fleet stationed around Nexus Prime. The ships hovered like silent guardians of a new era. Vresh whispered into the empty air. "We lost humanity. And with them we lost the future we could have shared." But far above, humanity soared across the stars. Free, united, unstoppable. Moving toward a destiny no one else could imagine. A destiny shaped not by fear, not by weakness, but by the courage to walk away. The council had tried to control humanity. Instead, they had created something far more powerful. A civilization that refused to kneel. A species that had earned its place in the galaxy. not through war, but through strength, dignity, and the unbreakable spirit of freedom. Humanity had abandoned the peace table, and the galaxy had learned the price of underestimating them. Forever.